It's been back-to-back days where y'all have just straight up crushed me in these drafts. I've embarrassed myself. I truly do need saving. So we're going to try to redeem ourselves today. We're going to try to win back whatever reputation that we lost yesterday and the day before with some brutal drafts. Now, good news for us, Underdog obviously has more tournaments available right now than we've ever seen. But also, a lot of these are newer, lower dollar buy-ins. I want to reiterate, if you're new to Underdog, go to the Schnauzer 2. This is going to be the $3 buy-in, 500K prize pool, 100K to first. It's a 20 entry max though. I've already drafted all 20 of my teams. So I'm going to be over here in the newer drafts. I'm going to be getting in the poodle. We did 3 of these drafts yesterday. Like I said, I got absolutely smoked in these. So hoping that we have a better performance today. There are 11 spots open in this draft room if anybody wanted to draft with us. And yeah, you can tell these drafts are filling very quickly. I mean, this tournament dropped like 24 hours ago and has already had 14,000 teams drafted in it. And that's at the same time that you have a ridiculous amount of tournaments available on Underdog at the moment. But you can tell by this draft that we are going to be going up against some tough competition. So again, if you're new to Underdog, just to let you know what these little badges mean. If you see somebody with a red and white badge in your draft, that means they have done 1,000 Underdog drafts before. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of those sickos, of those people who have problems. Of course, you can tell I'm on that list as well. The white and black, I would say these are the normal people. These are the people that just, they like Underdog. Maybe they haven't done 1,000 drafts, but they've done 500, right? You got Lemonade Mark, Nice and Blunt right next to us. Nice and Blunt actually makes YouTube videos as well. And then we have a couple no badges. This means they have not done 500 fantasy drafts. These are the very normal people, right? Here at pick 1 and pick 9. So this looks like it's going to be a brutal lobby. This looks like it's going to be very tough. Like I said, your boy's gotten smoked the past 2 days. I'll see if I can try to save myself. I'll see if I can try to redeem myself. But this may not be the draft where that's the easiest thing. Chase, Bijan, Barkley off the board. We get pick 6. Pick 6 is a great pick. I am actually pretty excited about this. But yes, we got Nice and Blunt in here at 7. We got Eli in here at 4. Lemonade Mark in here at 5. Caleb in this draft with us at 1. Chris in here at 3. Sportus in here at 10. So like I said, it's going to be a tough one. We're going to get Jahmyr Gibbs. When you're inside the top 6 picks, or when you're at pick 6 specifically, your job is you just take whoever falls between Chase, Bijan, Barkley, Jefferson, Lamb, Gibbs. If it's Gibbs, cool. If it's Lamb, cool. If it's Jefferson, amazing. But in this draft, we are getting Jahmyr Gibbs specifically. But Brandon in here, I believe, as well at pick 9. So it's a tough one. And yes, he who shall not be named did not get in. Like I said, we put the slider up a little too high for the IQ, or we moved it a little too low on the IQ slider. If you don't know, for what I do with the Underdog draft specifically is I go into my settings and I slide it down where anybody with an IQ above 80 is not allowed to draft with us. So if you see anybody in this draft with us, that tells you right now that they have an IQ anywhere from 0 to 79. I previously had the slider set 0 to 90, but I guess Vinny fell in the range of like 80 to 90 on the IQ scale. So we bumped it down to 80. So Vinny did not get in this one, and it should be a little bit easier. Now, this is the real question of the day. How are you so handsome? I don't know, my friend. All I know is your boy was blessed with the ability to draft fantasy football teams like God, and at the same time with an insane mustache beard combination. We're going to take Bowers. Pick 6 is amazing because it's very similar in round 2 to what it is in round 1. Your job in round 1 is to take whoever falls between these top 6 players. It's a very clear tier. Your job in round 2 is to take whoever falls between Bowers, Ladd, Achane, AJ Brown. It's a very clear tier before you get the drop off to like Rashee Rice, Jonathan Taylor, Bucky Irving, T. Higgins. If you're like pick 20 through 28, it's the wild, wild west. You can do whatever the hell you want. But if you're at pick 19, 18, 17, I think you are kind of locked into one of these names, which are super exciting, right? But let's see. Zach says, I was watching the VOD from yesterday. The top 5 TV shows are True Detective Season 1, never seen it. The Wire Season 4, never seen it. Game of Thrones Season 4, great. Breaking Bad Season 5, and Andor Season 1. Never seen Andor either. I mean, again, I will say that it's the most common take ever, but it is the correct take that Breaking Bad is the best show of all time. Like, it's not a hot take by any stretch of the imagination, but I think Breaking Bad's the best piece of content ever made, best piece of media ever made. But once we go Gibbs Bowers in the first 2 rounds, our job at this point is to slam wide receivers after this. So we are going to take Tyreek Hill. I prefer Tyreek over Harrison. I know a lot of people don't agree with us on that. If you want to go Harrison, hell, you do you. I'm going to take Tyreek, and I'll be overweight Tyreek in comparison. And of course, if y'all haven't had the chance to see the structure of this tournament, let me just explain it real quick. I know it's a little bit of a new tournament, dropped yesterday. But this is going to be a $7 entry, $350,000 prize pool, a $40K to first, $20K to second, all the way down the line. But the advancement is going to be the top 2 scoring teams in our 12-team league in weeks 1 through 14 is going to make the fantasy football playoff tournament, where in week 15, you'll go up against 5 other teams. If you're the highest scoring team in week 15, you'll advance to week 16, where you're going to go up against 5 other teams. If you're the highest scoring team in week 16, you will advance to week 17 in a 310-person final, and that's how you get a $7 buy-in equaling $40,000 to first place. And again, of course, just in case you don't really understand what best ball is, it's a draft format where there's no time commitment at all during the season. You draft your team, then you let it ride. You don't submit your starting lineup every single week. That's automatically done for you with your best potential starting lineup at the end of every single week. No waiver wire, no trades. So it's not going to replace your main fantasy football league, just some extra fun on the side. And really the main thing that you should be doing in June, July to prep for your main redraft league and have some fun if you really like fantasy football. But of course, we're streaming drafts every single day, if you can't tell. I would love to draft with you, as I'm doing every single night. And you can find a link if you ever wanted to draft with us in the comment section, description, live chat. It's where it says draft with us here. That's what I just always label the link as. Or you can scan the QR code. If you use promo code FLOCK when you sign up to Underdog, you'll get a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. Plus, at the same time, you'll be getting our 2025 fantasy football rankings and draft guide cheat sheets. And on top of that, Underdog's available in damn near every state. You can see the map here. It's in California. It's in Texas. It's in Florida. It's in New York. Yada, yada, yada. But let's move this over. Jameson off the board, 41. Oh, y'all are putting me in a box. Y'all are putting me in a tough, tough spot. We're going to take Devonta Smith here. So we made that draft strategy video earlier today where we talked about taking the elite tight end not being advantageous in underdog drafts because it does put you in a very tough situation for, I don't know, getting enough points at the wide receiver position. So when we come into round 4, even if you really like James Cook, even if you really like Jaden Daniels, we are so far behind at wide receiver in comparison to the teams that start off Lamb, Rashee Rice, Justin Jefferson, Garrett Wilson, Malik Neighbors, JSN, Nico Collins, Drake London, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Brian Thomas, that it almost doesn't matter what running back, what quarterback, what tight end makes it to us in round 4. I put myself in a box and we have to take a wide receiver. And I am personally going to be trying to bump up my exposures to Devonta Smith at this point. A-Rod says 25% deposit match running right now too. So I know if you're new to Underdog, it's a 50% deposit match. If you are, I guess, I don't want to say like everybody should have a 25% deposit match for Underdog if they are old users, because I think it's dependent on like user to user and state to state. Like, I don't know if I have the 25% deposit match. We'll take Travis Hunter. I know a lot of people are scared off Hunter, given the fact that he may play a lot of snaps on the defensive side of the ball. But again, whenever I'm drafting these teams, a lot of times, especially in the middle rounds here, I'm fine taking a player that has massive red flags and massive downside risk, because this is a $7 buy-in where we're trying to win $40,000, right? I don't think Zay Flowers puts us in a spot where we have a good chance to win $40,000 because we drafted Flowers. So I'll swing for the fences on Travis Hunter. We avoided him in early round 4 back in May and June, so we don't have much Hunter. We definitely bumped up our exposures as he's been falling to round 5. But let me see. Yeah, I don't see myself getting a 25% deposit match right now. I've been on Underdog for a few years. Let me know if you got, obviously everybody that's new gets the 50% deposit match, but if you've been on Underdog for a couple of years now, let me know if Underdog offered you the 25% deposit match today. Because when I was in California like 2 months ago, I know that I got that offer, but I haven't seen that. Reed says he had one yesterday. Nick says he has one. Mark says he got it. Large Sneak says nope. Yeah, so I think it's like it looks like most people actually have it. Actually, it looks like almost everybody has it. Interesting. There are only 2 people who said they didn't. Palmer has it. That's good to know because I don't know. Nice and Blunt says he wanted Travis Hunter as well. Hoped you'd go for the Waddle stack with Tyreek. Was definitely considering it. I would have gone Waddle over Flowers with Tyreek to go for the Tua double, but I don't know. Tournament structure, I'm fine just going for the ceiling play with Hunter. Because again, we're still catching up a wide receiver. We have Jahmyr Gibbs. We have Brock Bowers. I'm confident with our running back and tight end room at the moment. But wide receiver with Tyreek, Devonta Smith, Travis Hunter, not the best. Ali, happy to see you, my friend. Says, hey, man, hope you're doing good. I definitely messed up and got into 20 dynasty leagues. Feels like I'm effed. I have 10 redraft leagues coming up too. Hashtag messed up. That is wild, my friend. Best of luck with that. Happy to see you, though. We've taken a lot of both of these players. They're both very similar. I'm going to go Olave. I think Olave is the better receiver, to be honest with you. I know people aren't going to like that. But Chris Olave and Jerry Jeudy are the same exact guy. They're the clear number 1 wide receivers in their respective offenses. They are both, in my opinion, much more talented than the other wide receivers they're getting drafted around. I think Chris Olave, from a talent perspective, is closer to Garrett Wilson than he is Jacoby Myers. I think Jerry Jeudy, from a talent perspective, is like closer to Jameson Williams than he is whoever's going to go in round 7. Obviously, the reason these guys are so cheap is because they both are in the 2 worst offenses in the NFL. They both have some of the worst quarterback play in the entire NFL. But I feel like for that reason, they're very similar. Okay. But let me see. Ali says, where can I submit a super chat? I don't know if you saw, but we turned super chats off. Like I just am going to try to get to as many questions as I can in the chat. I don't want to get a super chat and then miss a question and feel bad about it. I would rather just try to bring up all your free questions. Yes, we're drafting an F tier lineup, sadly. Kadarius Tony says, where do I check if I have the deposit bonus? Mark says he found his in his email. I have no idea. I haven't seen anything from Underdog about this. I haven't seen if I have one or not. I do not need to make a deposit on Underdog, so I'm fine on that regard. I think we've played catch up enough when it comes to the wide receiver position. If I would have known that we were going to get Judkins here in the 7th round, what I probably would have done, to be honest, is I probably would have taken Jerry Jeudy and just made the consolidated bet. What if the Cleveland Browns are better than people are projecting them out to be? But we'll take Judkins here at pick 78. One issue that we're going to have with this team is our potential quarterback stacks aren't the best, right? Like, we don't get Jalen Hurts making it to us in round 5. So at this point, we're looking at like Tua for Tyreek, a Geno for Bowers, Lawrence for Hunter. I'm not taking Tyler Shuck. Y'all can do that if you would like, but I'm not. Okay. Reed says, I just happened to go to pause because of the new drafts, and there was an hour timer left. So you got that perfect. Drew says, do you have a subscribe animation? I do. I'll show you that pretty subscribe. If you have not done so already, go down there, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell next to the subscribe button if you want to come out to the live streams with us. And also, of course, check out the site. Yeah, definitely, like, a big reason we turned off super chats is what we're trying to do on the site is I'm trying to provide y'all like real value in a way that I can't just with super chats. So if y'all are ever going to spend any money supporting the streams or anything, a site subscription is going to get you a lot more than like just super chatting to support the stream, which of course I do really appreciate y'all super chatting to support the stream. It's just YouTube takes 30% of it. So the reality, the amount that I'm actually getting is very small. So I feel bad about y'all, like, I don't want to say wasting money on it, but I don't want your money going to YouTube, to be honest. Okay, so looking at what we're going to be picking next, we could go Mahomes and then Kelsey on the way back. That doesn't feel great when we have Bowers. We could go Egbuka and send up an absolute Hail Mary prayer that we are going to get Baker Mayfield on the way back around. The benefit that we could have with this is looking at the teams on this side of the board. They have Burrow, Hurts, Daniels. Also looking at where Mike Evans and Chris Godwin are. Mike Evans is on this side of the draft board, and I believe Chris Godwin should be as well. Chris Godwin's over here. So it's not a super big stretch to think that there's a chance that we get Baker Mayfield on the way back, knowing that the Evans and Godwin teams, the ones that we would have to be worried about, are after us. And also 3 of the 6 teams that are before us have the elite quarterbacks. And at the same time, Mahomes is still available for them as well. Okay. So we have Mahomes going to the Worthy team, Bo Nix going into the Sutton team. Shaheed goes pick 99. Let's see, we got a Fade Lemonade Mark. Does he have any bucks? He does not. He doesn't even have Bucky Irving. So I think we're going to get Baker. Yeah, this plays out perfectly for us. I think that we executed that. And obviously, we got very lucky for it as well. I'm not going to act like I big brain that to the 10th degree. But I think we played that pretty well. Again, because like we just discussed 30 seconds ago, the other quarterback options that we had aren't stellar. So it was nice for us to get a quarterback here that has a realistically high ceiling, while at the same time it fitting the build, which taking Ibuka there at 91, where we need a wide receiver with upside, and it opening the door for us to get Baker, I think it was the right call. Okay. Alexis says, Mason, are you doing the meetup this year? Yeah, so we'll have the Flock Fantasy meetup in Austin, Texas, August, when is it? 17th? I think it's August 17th, which reminds me I need to get us a venue for it. Which I messaged the owner of the bar that we did it at last year, saying like, hey, can we do it again? Which, if I were him, I would say yes. Like, we tipped the bartender extremely, extremely well. The people who are working it. People were getting a ton of drinks, food. What they did for us last year was crazy, though. Because what they did for us last year is they gave everybody half off drinks and food. And that's like that means everybody who came, not just like the creators. So one thing that's actually funny about the meetup last year is I had to go to the bank. And I had to go to my house to get all the merch and stuff that we were handing out. 2, I had to go to the bank to get the cash for the bartender tip. Let's see who we're going to take here real quick. Dak doesn't do anything for us. Goff, I guess we could have the Goff and Gibbs pairing, but if we were going to do that, I'd almost want to do it on the way back. So we'll take Najee. I mean, we have Judkins as RB2, so Najee does make a little bit of sense here in that maybe Judkins doesn't really come on until the end of the season, and we need some points to cover us at the beginning of the season. which Najee can do, obviously. And then if you were to get an injury to Hampton, then Najee does have a really high ceiling for the second half of the year if you get that injury to Hampton. But anyway, so I pulled up to the meetup late because I had to go get the merch and I had to go get the, what's it called? The cash. I wasn't that late. I was like 15 minutes late. But I was like talking to everybody, like going round and round, and somebody like offhandedly said like, "Oh, thanks so much for covering all this for us." And I was like, and then the guy had been joking with me previously, so I was like, "Oh, ha ha ha, that's funny." And then he was like, "No, I'm being serious." And then we had like an interaction for 5 minutes. I was like, "You need to tell me right now if you're being serious because I can't tell." And then what I found out is, for whatever reason, the bartender thought there was like almost 100 people at the meetup. I was buying everybody's drinks and everybody's food. So I had to run over to the bartender real quick and go, "Hey, it's not all on one tab." Like, oh, real quick. Y'all know I'm underweight Luther Burden. Herbert doesn't really do much. Marvin Mims is the worst pick on the board. Well, we're going to take Luther Burden. My concern that we could have with this is our third rookie wide receiver, right? So maybe this is a team that has a lot of upside for the second half of the year, but maybe doesn't have enough points to advance early on. And again, we're underweight Luther Burden. When we made the video of like our least drafted wide receivers, he was in the bottom 5. He's fallen a ton since then though, so might as well balance out our exposures when we need a receiver. But I had to go like beg the bartender like, "Hey, we all are on separate tabs." And then she was like, "Okay, we'll just close out the one that's right now." And I was like, this has been going on for 30 minutes. There's like 100 people here with drinks. I was like, crap, it's going to cost like $600. And then they pulled it up. And because everything was like half off, it was surprisingly like so much cheaper than I was thinking it was going to be. But Reed says, "Hello, that was funny. I got me one free Mason Dodd beer." But I thought like once that happened, I was like panicking. I was thinking like this is going to be 600, 700, 800 because people were eating food too, you know. But it was only like, it was maybe like $200. Dog spazzing. Sorry, let me let her in. So we're going to need a couple more quarterbacks. And we have Stroud, Michael Penix, Trevor Lawrence going. So there's a massive run on QBs at this point. So it may be a little bit tough for us to be able to get one here. Like you can just see ADP. There are no real quarterback options here. Whenever we have Bowers, we're for sure only going to be taking one more tight end, right? So if we decided to like take Tucker Kraft here, we decided to take Dallas Goedert here, that means no more tight ends the rest of this draft. Tua goes 137, which is brutal for us because Tua was going to be one of those late round targets that we had for Tyreek. Okay. Let's see. Nice and blunt. Goes Tootin. Tajay Spears, I probably prefer over Tootin anyway. So we're going to go ahead and take Tajay Spears. Y'all know he's in my side. My top 5 most drafted running backs, or at least he was whenever we made that video. Don't know if there's been much that's changed though. But I like Spears. I think that he's going to have a week-to-week role where he can give you some random usable weeks. And then also I think he has a higher ceiling if we were to see anything occur to Pollard. But ATX says, what bar was it at? It was at Holdout Brewery downtown. It was a really cool setup. So I emailed the guy again asking like, "Hey, can we do it there?" And have not heard back. But like last year I reached out to so many places last year. I reached out to like 20 places last year. And every single place was like, "Yeah, give us $2,000 for it." I'm like, "Oh, okay, well that's a no-go." But this was the one guy who's like, "Oh yeah, we love fantasy football. We'd love for people to do fantasy football stuff here. You're going to throw our name on YouTube?" I was like, "Yeah, of course." Which we did. We put it all over the things. So if he doesn't let us run it back this season, your boy's maybe going to have a tough time finding us a new place. But I promise you we will. What we used to do back in the day is we would just go to Zilker Park, which is a big park, beautiful park, and awesome, one of my favorite places in the world. But also, we used to do the meetup in like December, January. Now that it's in the middle of August, I can't tell y'all, "Hey, let's go all meet up outside," when it's 110 degrees out in Austin, Texas. So quarterback, we could go Bryce Young here and then take some last ditch Carolina options, which is probably what we're going to have to do, right? Because we are going to have to draft 3 quarterbacks on this team. First quarterback pick 102, second quarterback pick 150. Clearly it would have been ideal for us to get Tua in either round 12 or round 13, but Tua flew off the board well before we were even available to take him. So we're just going to have to go ahead. We get boxed out of quarterback. We're going to have to reach on one here. Let's see. Garindo goes 155. God, dude, one thing that the dog's been doing lately that's killing me. It is killing me. One, while I'm streaming, and two, mainly while I'm trying to sleep. Because the dog, of course, has to sleep in the room with us. Is just licking her paws. Or not only licking, like it just is a constant change of licking the paws. She's 100 pounds, so her licking her paws is freaking loud. To then biting them. And I'm just waking up at 2 a.m. to her just biting on her paw. Like, oh my gosh. Do we really need to do this? Yeah, she can get away with it because she's cute, but 2 a.m, I'm not happy about it. Okay. Yes, if we win BBM, we'll be buying drinks for sure. Adam Thielen goes 160. Leggett off as well. So that friggin' sucks for our potential with Bryce Young stacks. Now, obviously, we're set up in a way that we're drafting 3 quarterbacks. I've said this in the past, but I am okay having one of our quarterbacks unstacked. Like, we'll take Geno. The way that this could play out where we could still win the tournament, one thing I want to point out is the pods aren't that big in weeks 15, 16 in this, right? Like in week 15, we just have to be a better team than like 4 other people. In week 16, we just have to be a better team than like 5 other people. So there, I think you can get a random one-off usable week from these guys. But even in a regular underdog tournament like Best Ball Mania, we have 3 quarterbacks. One of them's unstacked. You can just go, and I'm not saying this is ever your plan A going into the draft, right? Same thing, we made the draft strategy video earlier today if you hadn't had a chance to watch it. But like, I'm never telling anybody like, hey, you have to go into a draft and you have to do this exact thing. I'm never telling anybody you have to go into a draft and you have to have one of your 3 quarterbacks unstacked. But there's a world in which like Baker Mayfield misses some time. If we wanted to have taken Bryce Young, we don't advance this team. And then in weeks 15, 16, 17, Baker Mayfield and Igbukah have 2 nuclear weeks. And then we get a Geno Smith, Brock Bowers nuclear week, right? Where we didn't need Bryce Young stacked in that final 3-week stretch for the fantasy football playoff tournament. Again, not the most ideal. We took Bryce Young there with the hope that we are going to be able to get Leggett or Adam Thielen later for the stack. We can still go Jatavion Sanders as our second tight end, even if it's not the best. But we will see. Wan'Dale Robinson, 171. And then once we take our 3rd quarterback, we are done drafting 3 QBs. I'm sorry, we're done drafting QBs. So we're just running back, wide receiver, tight end. We will take Nick Chubb as our 5th running back here. It's a decent squad. I'm not going to sit here and say this is the best team we've ever drafted. I mean, we are having to draft against a lot of y'all, which of course is, in my opinion, much tougher than a normal lobby. But, oh yeah, and that's another thing. If y'all are new to Underdog, of course I would love to draft with you. But realistically, if you wanted to get in some easier drafts, I wouldn't draft with us on the live stream because that's maybe going to be a little bit tougher. Not because you have to go up against me, but because everybody else in the chat. I would just go hopping like the Schnauzer too off the live stream. But anyway, running back, we have Jahmyr Gibbs, Quinshon Judkins, Najee Harris, Tajee Spears, Nick Chubb. So we're probably calling it a day with 5 running backs. Wide receiver, we have Tyreek, Devonta Smith, Travis Hunter, Chris Olave, Igbukah, Luther Burden. So when we're looking at wide receivers here in the final 3 rounds, I would prefer to opt for maybe some of the boring veterans that we wouldn't necessarily expect us to give a super high ceiling in the second half of the year. Because, I mean, looking at our wide receiver core as of now, like Travis Hunter, Igbukah, Luther Burden, these are guys that may not be super relevant to start the season. And you're really drafting them for the hopes that weeks 15, 16, 17, they're the guys that you need in the playoffs. So like Darius Slayton, DeAndre Hopkins, Dimey Brown, like that's probably the group of wide receivers that we're looking to go with the next few picks, just given the fact that we are so heavy with late season upside with our wide receiver core. And then looking at what we have at tight end, we have Brock Bowers, right? Which I know in that strategy video, we were talking about elite tight end not being the most ideal. But if you're at pick 20 and Brock Bowers falls to you, you just simply have to be flexible and you have to take Bowers. I think maybe we could mix in a running back here if we really wanted to. Wouldn't it be the most ideal? What we for sure need to do is we for sure need to take a tight ends. So we'll just take the falling value of Zach Ertz. We're going to get like a similar group of wide receivers on the way back. I don't want to take Jalen Noel. This is another prospect that's like, okay, maybe he has some late season upside, but realistically, Christian Kirk's going to be the slot guy to open up the year, right? So I'm not necessarily expecting Jalen Noel to give us a ton of usable weeks in the first half of the season. And that's kind of the issue that we have with this team is we don't have enough of those usable weeks with Travis Hunter, Igbuka, and Luther Burden as three of our relevant wide receivers. So we'll take Zach Ertz for some boring production if Brock Bowers has a dud week for his bye, or if he gets injured for 2 to 3 weeks, whatever it may be. And Tristan says Bowers just fell to 24 in the draft he was just in. That is insane. Yeah, for me, if I'm at pick 20, if I'm at pick 21, even pick 19. Yeah, because I think you have the top tier of 19 players. In my opinion, there's this tier of 19 guys. And then after that, I think you have a pretty flat tier here. I would put Tyreek over Wilson, Terry McLaurin. But again, other people would go Wilson instead of Tyreek. I think it's up to your personal preference with your rankings. So like Bowers, he falls to 20, 21, 22, 23. He's an auto pick there. Even if plan A for me is not to go with an elite tight end. We're going to take Jalen Coker. We need a wide receiver. I'm not a big Jalen Coker guy. I've drafted very little of him, but we have Bryce Young unstacked so far, right? We took Bryce Young with the hope that we were going to get Leggett, hope that we get Adam Thielen. Coker maybe gives us some usable weeks at the beginning of the season. Maybe Leggett's just a complete bum, and maybe Coker's just going to wipe the floor with him. But our wide receiver room's bad enough to the point we need to take another, right? Like I'm not leaving this draft with just this group of wide receivers. And again, I would kind of hope that we can get some old, crusty, boring guys in here that, like, I'm confident Jalen Tolbert is going to be the wide receiver 3 in Dallas. Do I think he has a crazy high ceiling? No. But do I think he can give us some usable weeks early in the year on a team that really needs them? Yeah. So, like, Jalen Tolbert is probably the guy that we're looking at here for me personally. Adonai Mitchell, you can make an argument for as well. I guess Tutu Atwell kind of fits that same mold. I'm just not a big Tutu guy. And I know people are getting excited about Deontay Johnson at this point as well. So we'll just queue up a bunch of these wide receivers. But we are going to hop in another draft here, of course. And we're going to continue to get into the Poodle because, again, I'm going to max out like the Pitbull, the Corgi, the Poodle. We already maxed out the Schnauzer too. And it just looks like the tournament that's filling the quickest is the $7 buy-in, 20 entry max, right? Which is naturally what you'd expect. So we are in the Poodle. So we get the 102. I know what we want to do here at the 4 or 5 turn if we can. I see that we definitely have a lot of y'all in this draft with us as well. So that's going to be tough. We got Draco in at 12. We got Cale Elliott in here at 9. Another draft where we do not have Vinny. Can somebody please check in on Vinny? And Cale Elliott's sneaking up on Vinny. I will say that as well. We got Mason on roids in here at pick 2. Drew Chase in at 4. The Jedi in at 11. Turtle missed our draft, but he's in at 2 in the draft that he's in. Yes, Vinny's draft bot is malfunctioning. Did y'all see what I tweeted out? So again, if you haven't had a chance to see our most recent video, I think if you're drafting in Underdog drafts right now, it's especially useful. But even in your regular redraft league, I think it's useful as well with what we talk about there. But let me pull this over. And this was a comment that I had. Ooh, crap, we're on the clock. Let's mix in Bijan. We were underweight Barkley for a while. I got scared off that. We were on Tyler's stream yesterday, and he was hyping up the Falcons for us. In reality, again, I think the top 5 guys you can take in whatever order you want, and then Gibbs is kind of locked in the 6. But read how weird these comments are on this last video. This is just one thing. And so, full transparency, whenever I post a YouTube video, there will be like corn bots, you know what I mean? Corn bots that immediately like flood the comment section. That'll have like just a picture of some booty cheeks as the profile pic and go like, love the video. You're so inspiring. Heart, heart, heart. Clearly hoping that guys go, ooh, booty cheek profile pic, and click it and do God knows what. So I always immediately, like as soon as I upload a video, I go to the comment section, hit hide user, hide user, hide user, hide user. We haven't had as many of those lately because I think maybe I hit them all. I've never seen a bot like this that, in my opinion, it's either the weirdest person on the planet or it's clear AI that for whatever reason is trying to get like engagement with the post. But I don't see what the point of it is. So here's what they commented. Like, it was a draft strategy video, right? So this is a relevant comment. The absolute best draft strategy, bar none, is having the fluidity to adapt to a strategy that's most suitable to the current state of the draft board when it's your turn to select. Sounds normal. I'm like, yeah, I kind of talked about that at the beginning. Have multiple options, blah, blah. I responded to it, trying to be nice. Then this guy maybe sniffs out this in a way that I didn't. Says, you're trying a bit too hard to sound smart, Wesley. Then Wesley responds, my mom is a very intelligent woman who would amaze me with how relatively well she would do answering game show questions. She emphasized approaching things with basic logic and common sense. I'm simply sharing the principles that a very sweet woman instilled in me, nothing more, nothing less. So then at this point, I'm like, this is a bot, right? Why the hell is this bot trying to like engage with like a fantasy football post? And so is this AI? LOL, I come from an educated family, but raised around Crips, Bloods, Longos, and Sons of Samoa in Compton in the LBC. Growing up, they said I talked white, but it was all in good fun. I get a kick out of the AI reference to my comments because it takes me back to those days growing up. Is that not the weirdest thing you've ever read? Again, I apologize if that's a real person and you just don't know how to talk like a real person. But it's like, why? Like, I get like a bot like going into the comment section. I know there are bots on social media and stuff. And like, I understand the corn bots that are just the profile picture of booty cheeks trying to get somebody to click on their pick, right? We're going to take Tyreek Hill again. He's the wide receiver I prefer in this little group of guys. But I don't understand like what's the end game of this? Like, what is this bot getting out of like posting the absolute best draft strategy, bar none, is having the fluidity to it? Like, what are they getting? Is it just like Google trying to train bots? King Rube says, that's not AI. If it's not AI, this guy's either putting on the perfect troll job or he's never talked to another person in real life. Oh. LC says, I think he was trying to set you up for this month. That's hilarious, my friend. That is hilarious. Master Shake says, once it gets full access to the site, it'll change all of its profile information and turn into whatever it was meant to be. I don't know what that means. I'm starting to think Master Shakes may be AI. Beach Will says, bro, we cannot forget there's still very strange humans out there. I mean, I don't mean to be rude here. And clearly I'm the leader of the strange humans. I love fantasy football so much. I made videos and live streams multiple times every single day for years and years and years with 0 people watching just because how much I loved it. I still love it that much. But we're all weird people watching a fantasy football live stream in June. Let's call a spade a spade. This isn't a weird person. This is a bot. It has to be. Adrian, happy to have you, my friend. Happy to have you. Michael says, someone whose first language is in English, maybe. I would think that, but they grew up in Compton around the Crips and the Bloods. So that disproves that theory, my friend. Alex says, what's up with all the Tyreek Hill picks lately? What's the reason you're so interested in them, and what's the exposure? Let's pull this up. It's, I don't want to be taking Harrison. I don't want to be taking Garrett Wilson. I don't want to be taking Terry. So the Tyreek Hill picks are more about me wanting to fade the other wide receivers in this range if I can, and having to de facto go into one guy. So let me pull this up. What is the Tyreek exposure? I have 13.5% Tyreek. Hampton goes 45. One of the players that we like here. But Devonta Smith off the board. So my ideal was going to be to go with Smith at 47 and then pick 50 Hurts. We're going to call it audible. The guys that I'm trying to get at the 4-5 turn every chance I get, I'm trying to get either Hampton, Smith, Kittle, Hurts. And obviously at this point, we have one wide receiver through the first 4 rounds being Tyreek Hill. Our job over the next 5 rounds is we need to play catch up at wide receiver. We absolutely have to. So we'll take Jameson here at pick 50, almost no matter what. I mean, if maybe we get a crazy fall, like something crazy. If we get RJ Harvey, Trevion Henderson, Joe Mixon falling to us at 71, then maybe I don't take a wide receiver. But if all else is equal, we're going wide receiver at the 6-7 turn. We're going wide receiver at the 8-9 turn. Let's see. Micah says, do you like Achane or McCaffrey more? For underdog tournaments where it's like $7 buy-ins, $40K for first, I definitely prefer CMC. If I'm on the clock in the flock league, though, realistically, and this is something I've been thinking about a lot, and it's something that I'm going to have to figure out. Where, again, just like the thing about doing an underdog draft that's like a $3 buy-in, 100K to first, like, I know whenever I enter into any tournament draft like this, it's the same thing. You enter into a poker tournament, right? 99% of the time you are going to lose. A $3 buy-in, 100K to first, I'm completely fine with accepting the fact that 99.9% of the time I'm going to lose that draft. If I thought 5% of the time I could turn $3 into 100,000, I would not be giving away those secrets on the live stream. I'll tell you that much. So I'm completely fine taking CMC in that instance because I go like, hell, most likely I'm going to lose anyway. I just kind of need to figure out, is there a chance that I can try to turn $7 into 40,000, $3 into 100,000, shoot for the highest ceiling possible. And if I lose, who cares? I was going to most likely anyway. Flock league's different. Your regular redraft league's different. Like, Flock league, I take CMC and the dude's just washed up. The dude's injured. I have to live that life every single week. I have to get ridiculed every single week. I have to get publicly humiliated every single week. That's scary. The low floor there terrifies me. The risk terrifies me. So that's a real question of like, Genty, CMC, Achane, and your level of risk in that type of scenario. But in an underdog draft like this, I'm just rolling CMC. Nobody has higher ceiling. Okay. Yeah, based on our last YouTube video, the strategy is not recommended. I know it's not. I'm sorry. We're going to try our best. We talked about in that video, like whenever you do this, thank God we get Jerry Jeudy. Getting Jerry Jeudy almost saves this team. Which, you know the state of your team if you're saying that. Ricky Pearsall goes 72. Jaden Reed off at 70. I'm going to take Jacoby Myers here. Again, we're just spamming wide receivers trying to catch up. And I think we'll get usable weeks out of Myers, which at this point is just kind of what we need. But John, yes, we started 3 wide receivers in the flock league, which is why last year, if y'all remember, I went 0 RB in the flock league last year, which worked out. We got the bye, but I was kind of just on the back of Jamar Chase. This year, it's probably not our number one strategy. Just the thing is, I knew last year that in the middle of the late rounds, like the DeAndre Swift range of running backs, I knew the people I was drafting with, and I knew they wouldn't take them. So it's like the same thing with these underdog drafts. It's like you kind of want to position yourself in a way where you can draft the player, the position that you think will be the most valuable in the middle to late rounds. And what I thought in the Flock League last year was like, these guys aren't going to draft the running backs there. They're going to be playing catch up a wide receiver. And it's a full PBR format where you can start 4 wide receivers weekly. So I spammed wide receivers at the beginning of the draft. This year, I think they may be on that. This year, I think they maybe understand, don't undervalue the James Conner, DeAndre Swifts of the world. Don't let me just take 5 or 6 of those players that project out to have volume at no cost whatsoever. So we'll see. We'll see. Drew says, prime content Mason is going 0 RB, then pass it on Kenneth Walker. Hey, we took Terry McLaurin last year. We took Scary Terry instead, which, not the worst. Not the worst. Okay. Debo makes it all the way down to 84. Obviously, Debo's been a massive, massive faller, as he should be. We're still very much underweight Debo Samuel. At least I hope so. Yeah, we have slightly under 6%, which obviously we really did not even start drafting Debo Samuel until he started falling around 7. Okay. Cooper Kupp goes 89. Ibuka goes 90. Plan A is for us to go wide receiver. Now, we'll see and we'll try to stay flexible with what's available and what isn't. I don't want to say too much until we're actually on the clock. Pittman goes 92. Pittman would have been the perfect pick for us at 95. Oh. Yeah, this sucks. I don't even know who we want to fall. Kelsey goes, I'm going to take Jaden Higgins. Jaden Higgins gives us an option of another quarterback late with CJ Stroud. Our quarterback options at this point are Tua, Goff, Geno, Stroud, Purdy. Do we Sean Purdy? Do we go Baker with Bucky and then take McMillan and Otten late? We're just going to play it safe with Purdy. We'll play it safe with the Purdy-Kittle combo. I don't think the projection should be that far off between Baker and Purdy. Let me see if the season-long underdog pick'ems are out for the quarterbacks. Let me see. Maybe they do project out very different, and I should have just taken the value of Baker and paired him up with Bucky. So Purdy, they have at higher, lower, 3,800 passing yards, 24.5 passing touchdowns. Which obviously Baker had 41 last year, so let's see how Baker projects out. So 3,800 and then 24 TDs. Baker projects out for a similar amount of passing yards, 3,800 as well, but significantly more passing touchdowns, 29.5. So the Baker projections are much better. Now the question is, how much do you value the stack of Purdy and Kittle versus potentially the combo of Baker and Bucky? I have no idea. Dylan says Purdy's thrown way more than 25. He's thrown 30, I'd say. How many has Purdy thrown in the past? Let's figure this out. Purdy's thrown. You go back to 2023, average almost 2 passing touchdowns per game, and he got up to 31. Obviously, Baker has had a much higher ceiling if we look at what happened this past year. Baker last year, 2.4 passing touchdowns per game. Yards per game, Purdy's best ever is 267. Baker this past year got to 264. But both quarterbacks should have better weapons this next season than they did last year. Let's move this down. Javonte goes 115. Dak goes 116. Cade says, question, if you start slow drafts in Wisconsin and go on vacation to Maine, I'm assuming Underdog will let you keep making your picks in Maine. Is there no Underdog in Maine? Let me just double check. Yeah, it looks like there's no Underdog in Maine. But yeah, so like if you start, for you to be able to get into an Underdog draft, like with the state map, you have to be in the state to enter the draft. So if you were like in California and you entered slow drafts and then you went to Nevada, you can keep drafting in Nevada. Like those slow drafts. You just can't enter the contest in the state where they don't operate. We're going to take Charbonnet as our third running back, 119. Then I know who we want on the way back around. If we don't get him, we're about to make a reach. We get him. We are going to take Tyler Warren. And again, looking at a couple of our quarterbacks, we have late round options. We have Tua with Tyreek. We have Geno with Myers. Maybe we get a gift with CJ Stroud falling for Jaden Higgins. Maybe we don't. But we have a couple different options and ways that can play out. And in general, I want to be overweight, Tyler Warren. So we're just going to take the guy that we want. Bagel says, what if you go out of country? Again, to my understanding of it, oh yeah, it's the same thing going out of country because the FSE guys do this all the time. So when the FSE guys go to the United States, which they live in Ontario, which Underdog's in Canada, but Ontario doesn't have DFS. They get in a bunch of slow Basketball Mania drafts, and whenever they go back, like for the month or whatever, they'll finish out their slows. Ice in My Veins will be doing more ESPN draft stuff when we get to like July, August, September. And we'll have a draft guide specifically for ESPN leagues. Nessa Blunt says, why don't you like Tootin? Feels like he has Bucky Irving upside in a Liam Cohen offense with Devon Achane level speed. Feels like a good pick as his ADP continues to fall. I think he's a much better pick now than he was. Like whenever we made that video with him being in our bottom 5 exposures, I think the ADP had him actually ahead of Travis Etienne back then. So I definitely agree that I think the Tootin price is becoming more appealing. Like Tootin here goes 125, Etienne goes 99. That feels more in line with what it should be for me. My main issue is that there's the third running back with Bigsby. Like, I don't know if there's a world in which we see a feature back in this backfield. It seems like almost any way you cut it, we're going to have a 2-man committee. And I could be completely wrong with that. So I have been drafting more Tootin for sure at his price. But again, I'm not going to draft, for me personally, I'm not drafting the 4th round rookie running back over the tight end that just got top 15 draft capital. Steve says, Mason, is it true that Underdog will give someone like Travis Hunter points for a defensive touchdown? I have no idea, my guy. Realistically, I think the odds Travis Hunter sees a single defensive touchdown is so low that I would never draft Hunter or avoid Hunter because of that hope. I'm just going to take Tua. There's a good shot and almost a guaranteed chance that if we did not take Tua at 143, we'd have got him at 146. But the reality of the situation is there are no other names here that I'm excited about. So I'll let Zeus grab whoever he wants. Like if there was another wide receiver here or something that I'm like, oh, I really want to get this guy. If the big Q was here, I'd have gotten the big Q and expected to get 2 on the way back around at 146. Okay, and we're going to take Leggett. Leggett's probably the wide receiver that we were... Leggett's the receiver I was considering in the last round. But Dylan says, if he gets defensive points as a regular PPR fantasy points, he's a cheat code. No matter what, he's not getting like points for tackles. The only world in which I could see Underdog giving him points is if he scores a receiving touchdown. I'm sorry, not a receiving touchdown. If he has a pick 6. And if there were any sports books out there right now, if I lived in a state that had legalized sports books, that was giving me even odds on Travis Hunter not scoring a pick six this year, I would bet the house on it. Most likely outcome is Travis Hunter does not have a pick six. So, again, in my opinion, Travis Hunter getting potential points for defensive interception touchdowns is almost so irrelevant that it would never impact my decision on whether I should or should not draft him. Drew says, isn't Hunter on Underdog Pick'em? Hunter is on Underdog Pick'em. Let's see if they have anything for a pick six mark. Travis Hunter. They do not have a pick six higher lower. They have higher lower 1.5 defensive interceptions, which I'm not really touching that. But if they had like higher lower 0.5 pick sixes, yeah, that would be an auto lower. Okay. Ferguson, Pitts off. Great for us to see as many tight ends go as possible, right? Whenever we have the combination of Kittle and Tyler Warren, I'm not taking another. Drew says if it's 1.5 interceptions, pick six is unlikely. Let me check something real quick. Let's ask ChatGPT, how many interceptions turn into pick sixes? How many interceptions last season were turned into touch? I don't want to say that. Pick sixes. Let's see. Guess the percentage, everyone. This is something I'm interested in. I would have had no idea. Do we have a Geno option? I think we do. We have Jacoby Myers. Our quarterbacks are Purdy and Tua, so we're going to take the third QB. That plays out perfectly for us. Okay, yeah. Guess the percentage of interceptions that end up as touchdowns, like pick sixes, not in terms of like the offense scores a TD, but the player who intercepted the ball. Because I have no idea. Let's first check your guesses, and then I will see what I'm thinking. We got a lot of 2%, 3%. 11% seems very high. Okay, let's see. So ChatGPT says, in the 2024 regular season, there were 21 interceptions returned for touchdowns across the league. Two pick sixes. The Rams, Bills, 12. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so let me ask how many total interceptions were. How many total interceptions were there? $371. So we're going to divide 21 by 371. 5.6%. So if Underdog has his higher lower on interceptions at 1.5, you're giving Travis Hunter what? Like a 9% chance of scoring a defensive pick six this year. So if he has like a 9% chance to score a single pick six and to have a single 6 points, what's the difference? Like, what's 9% of 6? That's an expected value of 0.54 fantasy points. Whether or not Underdog will give him points if he scores a pick six or not. So for me, it's completely irrelevant if I draft the dude or not. If you think that like, oh, Travis Hunter's a good pick in round 5, if he gets 6 points for a pick six, or if he's a bad pick if he doesn't, horrible logic. Figure out if you think he's going to play wide receiver and how much he would play. That's what determines if you're going to draft Travis Hunter or not. So quarterback, we have Purdy paired up with Kittle. We have Tua paired up with Tyreek. We have Geno paired up with Jacoby Myers. Running back, we have Bijan, Bucky, Charbonnet, Braylon Allen. Wide receiver, we have Tyreek, Jameson, Jerry Jeudy, Jacoby Myers, Jaden Higgins, Xavier Legette. Tight end, we have Kittle and Warren. Don't like the team. We just need to take some wide receivers here. We will take Darius Slayton as a wide receiver that will probably be out there and will give us a couple usable weeks. Dalton Schultz goes 192. Thornton goes. I was hoping we were going to get Thornton to pair up with Geno. It is what it is. And then afterwards, we'll just take Yoshi Vosh and then we'll get a unique wide receiver around 18. But yeah, the issue with this team is quarterback's okay, but it's not strong. Tight end's good. I like Kittle. Running back's pretty good. Bijan, Bucky, Charbonnet, Braylon Allen. Actually, crap, no, we need a 5th running back. That's what we should have taken instead of Yoshi Vosh. My apologies. So, like, running back's top heavy, but not great depth. Tight end, like wide receiver, we're sitting with Tyreek, Jameson, Jerry Jeudy, Jacoby Myers, Jaden Higgins, Xavier Legette, Darius Slayton, Yoshi Vosh. This is the problem with like going 2 wide receivers through the first 5 rounds and those wide receivers being in rounds 3 and 5. Like, in my mind, I just am not that excited about any one of the positions we have. Okay, let's go ahead. Queue up some running backs. We're going to hop in another draft. Let's just queue up all these RBs afterwards. Obviously, we're maybe going to get the unique guy with Mostert, but we'll see what plays out. Honestly, I don't even need to see. We're going to get a running back. And let's go ahead and let's hop into another poodle. We have 14 left after this. Thank God we get pick 6. Okay, thank God. Pick 6, again, we said this at the very beginning of the stream, but makes your life very easy through the first 2 rounds. You're at the end of the tier in round 1, and you're at the end of the tier in round 2. So, we're pretty much on autopilot. We're auto picking the first 2 picks. Cameron is drafting next to Vinny. Vinny did not get in this one. I'm telling you, we put the IQ blocker a little too low for Vinny this time. A little too low. Jay is in here at pick 8, which maybe Jay gets lucky in this draft because Drew's saying that somehow, some way, he got Bijan at pick 8 a few days ago. Now, actually, bad news for Jay because I would never let this happen. You give me Bijan at pick 6. He's an auto pick for me. But J. Rob says, Mason, disgusting question of the week for you. Hollywood or Wandale in Dynasty? I could drop Savion Williams from the tax squad and pick up Hollywood and have one. Both. I would rather have both receivers over Savion Williams. I'd probably opt to go Hollywood over Wandale. If it's full PPR, I guess you get a little bit of a higher floor with Wandale given the targets. But Vinny, my guy. You need to work on the Mason bot. That's what it is. But here in this draft, Chase, Jefferson, Bijan. Here, I'm a magician. I was going to do Barkley. I'm a magician now. CeeDee Lamb. Jahmyr Gibbs. Like I said, the first 2 picks, when you're a pick 6, you're just on auto. We will just see what makes it back to us. And of course, if you have not done so already, please go down there. Hit that like button, ladies and gentlemen. I would really appreciate it. CMC off at 7. It seems more and more often now that McCaffrey's locked into the 107. Which makes me feel good being overweight McCaffrey. Because the thing is, like, say you were fading McCaffrey, waiting to see if he was going to be healthy for training camp. You wanted some positive news before you started drafting McCaffrey, hypothetically. Again, we're overweight McCaffrey. We've been overweight. We are drafting him when he was going in round 2. But if you were waiting for that positive news, and now you got it where you know McCaffrey is healthy, and you've already drafted 100 teams, no matter what, you were going to be underweight McCaffrey. Because now, if he puts himself in this spot where, like, you can only really get him at pick 7, pick 8. Your options are, if you want to balance it up and you want to try to get to 8% McCaffrey, you're going to have to start taking him inside the top 6 picks. That's what you have to do. And I personally would not be doing that. Okay. And somebody like me who's overweight McCaffrey, like, I can honestly balance it out where if I wanted to be even on McCaffrey, we can start to maybe go with like a Puka Nacua there at 7 instead. Okay. Brock Bowers goes 18. Like we discussed, you're pretty much just on autopilot here. So the guy we're going to get is Ladd McConkey. I know some people would make an argument to go Rashee Rice over Ladd. I think you can go Rashee Rice as early as pick 20, but I'm not doing Rice over Ladd. I'm staying in my own lane with that. So we have Bucky goes, Jacobs off the board at 21 as well. Maybe you end up getting a little bit of a slide for Rice. Now Rice goes at 22. But my expectation would be that Rice finds himself locked in to kind of pick 20, with some people taking him at 19, 18, which I simply won't. So I'm going to be underweight Rice, which I am sure we will get screwed for. I will say, like, obviously we had great results last year when it comes to our advance rates, both to get 2 playoff tournaments in contest, while at the same time, like in Basketball Mania, making the finals. I got lucky because I was underweight Rashee Rice. I thought Rice was going to get suspended. So I was not drafting Rice very early in the offseason. And once we got confirmation, like, oh no, Rice isn't going to get suspended, he's going to be good to go, and he had risen like 4 rounds in ADP, I was like, I don't want to draft him here because all of a sudden I'll have to go up against teams that got him 4 rounds cheaper. We'll take Marvin Harrison. Y'all know I haven't drafted a ton of Harrison. I'm opting to go with Tyreek instead, but it is what it is. Tyreek's off the board. Adams off the board. McBride's gone. Chase Brown's gone. I'm not super excited to take Tet McMillan instead. Not that excited to go with Terry McLaurin instead, so we'll just take Harrison. But anyway, yeah, so I was unwilling to take Rice once the ADP got steamed up just because I was like, I don't want to get just, if Rice crushes, I'm probably not going to win a tournament even if I start drafting him here because teams got him 4 or 5 rounds cheaper consistently, which clearly the rate that he was crushing, you should have just taken him at any price. So I was wrong early in the offseason. I was wrong late in the offseason. I was wrong all along. And I got bailed out because of the injury. Now, with that being said, I'm probably going to be underweight him this season. I'm completely fine taking him at pick 22. But with the way that things are trending, it seems like he's going to start mixing himself into the Ladd, Bowers, Achane range, which I'll just never take him there. Jimmy says, Vegas has Worthy's yard line barely lower than Rice. Does not worry you because Rice will have way more touches. Are you looking at underdog projected pick'ems, or are you looking at like legit sportsbook props? We'll take Devonta Smith. We're already overweight Worthy. I kind of want to get overweight Smith as well. Because full transparency, I think, and this is just like full honesty here, of course. I think these season-long underdog pick'ems aren't the sharpest. Like, I wouldn't look at this as the gospel. The way that, like, week to week with start-sit decisions, I think underdog projection pick'ems are actually a lot more accurate, if that makes sense. I don't know if as many people do the season-long pick'ems for underdogs, so I don't know if they care as much. But yeah, they have Rice at higher, lower 5.5 receiving touchdowns, 924.5 receiving yards. They have Worthy for higher, lower 6.5 receiving touchdowns, plus 1.5 rushing TDs and 850 receiving yards. So looks good for your boy who's probably going to be overweight Worthy and underweight Rice. But again, the season-long underdog projections, I would say they're not going to be nearly as accurate as like the week-to-week ones. So I definitely use them as a tiebreaker in some instances, but I'm not basing everything off them. And this is why I'm going to try to be overweight Devonta Smith in round 4, because it opens up the door for us Jalen Hurts in round 5, which I just absolutely love. So we go Smith, pick 43, and then we go Jalen Hurts, pick 54. Okay. Yeah, I like this start. I like this start. Con says, why no Terry Love? If you watch my like wide receivers that I won't draft video, I talk about my least drafted wide receivers, and Terry is on that, and I give you a full-blown explanation there. So Kenneth Walker goes 59, but with this kind of team, I think we just have so much flexibility through the rest of this draft that it's like we're going to have like a lot of firepower with the anchor running back with Jahmyr Gibbs. It's not like we're too far behind at wide receiver with Ladd, Harrison, Devonta Smith. And having Jalen Hurts as our quarterback obviously is going to give us an edge over the rest of the field. So I really like this structure. I really like this team. And we'll make it work. And again, we talked about in the video today, just having a balanced draft in these underdog drafts seems to be the best. Where like whenever I put myself in a position where it's like, hey, no matter what, I have to take wide receiver in the next 5 rounds, then you kind of get screwed. Where here, like I feel like round 6, 7, 8, 9, I can just do whatever I want, right? We can take whoever our favorite player is. Bingle Buck goes Olave. So we will take Jordan Addison. So Addison, you have the concern with the suspension, of course. So maybe you want to be super excited to draft Addison as like your wide receiver 2, just because maybe it's a little bit tougher to advance without those points early in the year. But if Addison's our wide receiver 4 and we're really just using him for the late season upside, like I'm very happy to go there. Okay. Dylan says, this is a great start, Mason. Take a running back in round 7. This is awesome. I'm not forcing a running back in round 7. We get one, we get one. Again, having Gibbs, I think, gives us a lot of flexibility. If we don't take a running back in round 7, we probably at that point go on running back radar and need to start looking at them in rounds 8 and 9. But I still think I'm in the range where I can just kind of do whatever the hell I want. Jacoby Myers goes, and I like Matthew Golden here. So we're going to take Golden as our wide receiver 5. So now running back, we have Gibbs. Wide receiver, we have Ladd, Harrison, Smith, Hurts, Addison, and Golden. So yeah, at this point, we're on running back watch. At this point, we're most likely needing to take running backs in rounds 8 or 9. But Bingo Bongo says the Addison 7th round slide is incoming, holding off my shares until the DUI. Let me see how much Addison I have. I think we're probably very even on Addison. Like I would probably expect that we're around 8.5%. Y'all remember last year we went heavy Addison. It worked out very well. Last year, Addison was getting drafted as a wide receiver 4. I'm slightly overweight Addison. I'm at 11.6%. Not super overweight, but again, I just think Addison's a great player. Blitnikoff winner, round 1 NFL draft pick, great rookie season, great year 2. I don't want to overthink it. Micah says, why are you so high on Devonta Smith? I actually go on Underdog's YouTube channel to talk about that in depth soon. I don't know when they're going to post that video. I just recorded it today. But Travis Kelce goes 87. But in general, if you look at the Devonta Smith ADP, he has finished higher than that every year over the past 3 years. And there's only one direction the Philadelphia Eagles passing volume can go. So yeah, we're going to get a running back making it to us. We're going to get Tony Pollard here in the 8th. Like I said, once we decided to take Matthew Golden, we put ourselves on running back watch. We get Pollard, somebody that has projectable volume in an offense that's probably going to improve. So this is a great team. This is by far and away the best team that we've drafted today. Probably the best team we've drafted in the Poodle in general. Because yesterday the streams were bad. The day before the drafts were bad as well. Like, seems like we've had, before this one, we had 8 bad drafts. Powell says, Mason, can you review the team at 9, please? Let's go ahead and let's look at this. Team at 9 gets the Puka Fall, then goes Achane 16, Terry McLaurin, Daniels. Yeah, if you go Terry in round 3, you set yourself up for Daniels round 4. Waddle, Godwin, Shakir, Pacheco. I love the squad, my guy. I think Team 9 is great. Okay, Brock Purdy, Justin Fields off. If we were to go with a quarterback here, it will be our last quarterback of the draft. Baker Mayfield, we don't have any options for it. There's no reason we'd ever go Baker. Kyler Murray, however, we could pair up with Harrison. And this is something that maybe, let me pull this up on RotoViz real quick. Yeah, let's do this live. This is, take a little bit of time, a little bit of research, but it's probably worth doing because I know we did the draft strategy where we talked about bully quarterback and we looked at drafting 2 quarterbacks inside the first 5 rounds and we said, yep, this is certified to be bad. Never do this. We did not look at drafting a quarterback in round 5 and then another quarterback in round 9. So let's go to Underdog. I think it's Underdog Roster Construction Explorer on RotoViz. Let me pull this up. As my simpleton brain tells me that this is pretty good. Taking Kyler here to pair up with Harrison and getting our second quarterback at 102 with our first quarterback at 54. But again, that's my lizard brain. My lizard brain's wrong all the time. I do need to double check this. So let's check round by round settings. We get our quarterback in round 5, QB1 in round 5. And let's go QB2 in round 9, which I typically don't like looking at it this way. But, and in this instance, we would only ever draft 2 QBs. And if you only draft 2 QBs, you will have an above average playoff rate, above average semifinals, and above average finals. So if we can play around with this as well, what if you get your QB in round? Yeah. So not bad to do this. Again, not my number one strategy going into the draft, but I think if it falls in your lap the way it did with ours, it's something that you can do. And we're done with quarterback through the rest of this. Jonnu is the tight end option. Javonte is the running back with Ramondre. We'll take Jonnu. We'll be boring. I think we can go Jonnu here, tight end 1, pick 115, and still go with the 3 tight end build if we really wanted. And it's just like, I definitely running backs our biggest need at this point, only having Jahmyr Gibbs as well as Tony Pollard. But the running backs that we're looking at here at 115, I think are going to be very similar to the running backs that we'd have at 126. Hunter says he really likes 1. Team 1 has Chase, Higgins, McBride, Sutton, Burrow for the double stack. If I was Team 1, I would have tried to get Burrow at 72. I would have. The team's fine. Don't get me wrong. It's not my favorite team. That's a strong team. It's a strong team. Jimmy says, why has Johnny been falling so much? Is it anything more than the trade rumors? I think it's a combination of the trade rumors, and he was probably overpriced to begin with. But it looks like quarterbacks are just falling in general in this draft. But again, we are done at quarterback. And this will be one of those drafts where we take Tootin. We have projectable volume at the top. We just kind of need a young running back with some upside. In general, I think David Njoku and Loveland are much better picks. So maybe I shouldn't draft for team need here. Maybe I should go like, hey, there's not a big difference between Tootin and Trey Benson in the next round. Give me one of these tight ends. But your boy did not think too much about it. And we just had the lizard brain take over and we clicked the button. Boa says, what's the tool you pulled up showing finals rates? It's on RotoViz. It's called the Underdog Best Ball Roster Construction Explorer. It's a little bit tough to use, but I know how to pull it off for videos. But it has all the data there, which is obviously super useful. Daniel says, chat, are we really drafting this early? I would really strongly recommend you do not do any redraft drafts this early. There'd be just no reason. Your main redraft league, you should be drafting in August. You should be drafting in September. But obviously, best ball is not meant to replace your main redraft league. Again, I've said it 1,000 times, but it's just some fun on the side. So let me know in the chat, are you drafting best ball teams right now? We'll go Christian Kirk at 139. Kirk's going to give us some usable weeks at the beginning of the season, which we may need with Golden as a rookie and with Addison potentially suspended. So Christian Kirk's like a player that we're going to get usable weeks from in best ball when you have no waiver wire. That's useful. In your regular redraft league where we're shooting for the ceiling, probably not so much. 2 shots since you drafted 70. Vinny says this is a mirage. Daniel says, I'll spam mock drafts for days, though. Yeah, this is essentially a mock draft. The $3 underdog drafts, you can kind of just treat as mocks in practice. Shane says, round trips from Michigan to Austin. It's only 120 round trip for the date of the party. Sounds like a deal, my friend. Sounds like a deal. Oh, and one thing that we'll do again for the meetup is, since we have to do it with the venue and we can't just do it at the park since it's summer, I have to have a way to legit know that people are coming. So last year we sold tickets for like $5. We're probably going to do the same thing. But we did this last year and we'll do it again this year, of course. Let me see. Do we just go friggin' Jaden Blue, another guy I hate? Or do we go Ferg? If we take Ferg, we're still taking a third tight end. So we'll take another running back that we're very light on with Jaden Blue. It's going to be a 6 running back build. But like the main purpose of tickets, again, is not to make money. We're selling tickets for like $5. And just for me to set up everything on Shopify, I'll probably cost close to $500. But it's, I need to tell the venue, they'll go, hey, we have a max of 90 people that can come. It's like, okay, I need to make sure we only have like 90 people coming. But if you buy like a ticket and you're flying to Austin for the meetup, just shoot me an email or shoot me something with proof that you're like buying a flight. Because obviously, if you're getting a flight to come to Austin, I know you're coming to the meetup, you know. If you're buying a $120 flight, $200, $300 flight, that's a much bigger commitment to come than buying the $5 ticket. Okay, Eckler goes at 156. Brenton Strange goes. Again, I think you can make an argument to go with Jake Ferguson there at 151. Miss Padilla says, what if we're driving there from out of state? Another thing, actually, you don't even have to send me the plane ticket. Send me, like, if you're getting a hotel or an Airbnb. Just send me some confirmation. You know what I mean? Something like, hey, I got this, so I know I'll be there. And then as long as I have that, I can just put your name on the list and go like, okay, we need to save this spot for this person. We just go Pat Frymuth. We're already committed to the 6 RB builds. We'll take Pat Frymuth 163, get the bump up with the projection with Rodgers. Jonnu Frymuth, you could see people definitely making an argument to only draft 2 tight ends. Oh, here's what we can do. We have this freaking advanced rate explorer right now. So let's pivot this over tight ends. We go tight ends 1 in round 10. Tight ends 2 in round 14. How many should we be drafting? It looks like you go tight end in round 10 and tight end in round 14. You should draft 3 tight ends. Higher playoff advance rate, semifinals advance rate, and finals advance rate. So we're going to draft 3 tight ends, which is what I figured. Just wanted to double check. Sam Darnold 172. I think we can afford to get our 3rd tight end later, so we're just going to grab Braylon Allen 174. And again, our running back room behind Gibbs is extremely light. Overall, I still really like this team. Like this team, we're sitting with a wide receiver room of Ladd McConkey, Marvin Harrison, Devonta Smith, Jordan Addison, Matthew Golden, Christian Kirk. I think it's super strong wide receiver room. I'd make an argument we possibly have the best QB room in the league with Jalen Hurts and Kyler Murray. Running back, we have Gibbs doing a lot of the heavy lifting. Tony Pollard, Byshell Tootin, Jaden Blue, Braylon Allen. At tight end, we have Jonnu Smith, Pat Frymuth, and a 3rd bum. We're probably going to take 1 more tight end, 1 more running back, and 1 more wide receiver. But I really like this team. And yes, of course, we can all sleep over at my place after. My tiny, tiny place. I'm trying to think. Y'all could... The couch is big enough for 2 people. The office, which is what I'm in right now, the desk is right in the middle of it. There's a bunch of crap on the other side. Honestly, not big enough for anyone. The garage is loaded with crap. We got 2 people that can fit on the couch. That's what I got for y'all. So Calvin Austin goes 184. Giannis says, how many does your tub fit? I wish we had a tub, my friend, but we have no tub at the house. Yes, it's all because the mansion's getting renovated, of course. Let's see. Normally, we'd have 13 bathrooms and 8 rooms for everyone, but we have a little renovations. Last time we renovated was 2022, so it's just a little bit outdated. We just need new kitchen, new bathrooms. Y'all know the whole 9 yards. We're going to go Michael Wilson. We wanted another wide receiver here on this team. We have Kyler Murray, so natural fit. Let's pull this out. Dylan says, just know when I turn 18 and I'm in college, I would subscribe to the Flock site if you had flocked me out to the meetup. There's a thing, Dylan, with business called ROI, means return on investment. So, again, we've discussed Dylan is 12 years old. So we spend $300 to fly you out to the meetup. Spend $200 to get you a hotel. We invest $500 into getting you to the meetup. So hopefully in 6 years, you'll start spending about $15 a month on a site membership. I'm going to have to think about that one, Chief. I'm going to have to think about that one. Let's move this back. Running back. I almost want a boring RB. What do we have a tight end? No, we'll just take Giddens. Just take the player with a good prospect profile. What I don't like is 3 of these. I guess we have the projectable volume with Pollard, and we still have the anchor running back with Gibbs, right? And then we'll take whatever boring tight end. I know you're 16, my friend. And of course, yes, the last thing I'm going to try to do is convince parents that I need to fly out their 16-year-old son across the country to come hang out with me that I met on the internet. It's the last thing I'm about to do, Dylan. Liam, team at 13 is absolute garbage, to be completely honest with you. Absolute garbage. But DJ Giddens goes 198. And tight end, I know who we want. Just let y'all know, tight end I typically take round 18, especially if I don't have like a rookie tight end and we can bank on some late season upside, is Terrence Ferguson. A decent prospect. I think he has a role that he gets on the field early. Maybe I'm wrong here. This team decides to take Tyler Higbee instead. But it is what it is. Yes, we're going to have, for the Flock League draft, we'll have a special guest, Scott Hansen, coming in because Dylan ran away from home to come to the Flock League meetup. Jake says, opinions on Josh Downs ADP being 150 on ESPN. ESPN ADP is not real at the moment. Nobody's drafting on ESPN at the moment. The only real ADP right now is Underdog ADP, DK ADP, Drafters ADP, and like FFPC ADP. ESPN ADP, not real. Yahoo ADP, not real. Sleeper ADP, not real. Nobody's drafting there. Which is why I'm not referencing that in any of my videos. Once people start drafting there, I'll start referencing that ADP, and we'll get out those draft sheet cheat sheets for y'all. And we'll take Theo Johnson here. Don't love it, but our guy, Terrence Ferguson, went off the board. But I appreciate y'all hanging out with me, of course, ladies and gentlemen. I will be live tomorrow, the next day, the next day, the next day, the next day. And you know what? If you can't tell, every day, this bad boy is going to be coming in a little bit more and a little bit more until you don't even recognize me. I'll tell you that much. But thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I really do appreciate you hanging out with me. I really hope I get to see you out in the live stream tomorrow. And oh yeah, one last thing. I do want to reiterate, while I'm doing all the new tournaments that are on Underdog, what I'd recommend if you are new is to do the Schnauzer 2. This is a $3 buy-in. 100,000 for first. Again, I already maxed out my teams. You can only draft 20 in these. And if you've already maxed out your Schnauzer 2 teams, if you're hoping to max out some of the other low dollar buy-ins, these are the ones they just dropped. They dropped the Poodle, which is a $7 buy-in, the Corgi, which is a $5 buy-in, and the Pitbull, which is a $20 one. I think the Poodle is going to fill the quickest out of these. So if you want to do like a couple drafts a day and your goal was to max it out, I know most people won't be like this because it's pretty expensive. It's $140 to max out. I would do the Poodle first out of all these. Unless obviously you're a normal person, you're only going to get in a couple drafts in the off season. And then the Corgi would be a perfect draft for you because that's a $5 buy-in. Everybody should do the Corgi regardless. Corgi's $5 buy-in, 100K in prizes, 25K to first with reasonable advance rates. You can see the advance, only a 75-person final. But appreciate you, ladies and gentlemen. And I really hope I get a draft with you tomorrow night. And I really hope you have a great night.